Hello, it is Thursday, December 20th. You are watching news from Kazakhstan on KPLUS channel. December 19th marked the day of post-holiday shakedowns after a good rest. National security officers held a series of searches in Almaty and Astana. In particular, NSC members paid a visit to the registering Alha party.
At 8 a.m., prosecutors and policemen entered the offices of Alga and Aman Solik Foundation, which rents space in the same building with the opposition party. The men in uniform have not presented any IDs or search warrants, but proceeded to open the offices and impound equipment within. Activist Georgi Arkhangelsky says their actions were performed without the presence of identifying witnesses. I'm worried because I saw one of the officers pass a package inside, and since they can do anything, there might be a provocation with planting of fake evidence. As previously reported, the authorities went on a search spree in Alga party offices in Pavlodar, Petropavlovsk and Uralsk late November, right after the appeals court of Aktau sustained a ruling in Vladimir Kozlov's case. The opposition leader was sentenced to 7.5 years for his involvement in Zhenozem events, but said the verdict is politically motivated. I am told that they remove everything from the office, including accounting documentation, office equipment and money. This is confusing because if it happens because of my criminal case, then the people who rent the offices there have nothing to do with it. They are not parties to the case. Human rights activist Evgeny Zhovtis is not surprised that the news of searches conducted in the party offices. It was to be expected, he says, and notes that law enforcement officials have no legal grounds to perform searches since, legally, Alga is not a registered entity and the court has yet to pass a formal decision to axe the organization. I'm afraid they might gather information and evidence against the heads of organizations, activists and reporters. The question is whether they are going to use it against them. The government has the ball now and it holds a lot of options. The activist is certain that the authorities will most likely use an option of eliminating all political opponents because they have already received the order from the senior administration.
Searches of Alha party were also conducted in Astana under a similar scenario. Plainclothes officers locked themselves inside the office in the morning only to come out in the evening. What was the purpose of the visit is explored in the next report.
The access to the office of Alga party has been blocked since 8:30 a.m. on Wednesday. The door was locked from the inside with an officer guarding the front entrance. You can't go in as the search is in progress. The 3-hour-long wait for the news crew ended with the arrival of the patrol car. The officers wrote down reporters' personal information and asked them to leave the area. Civil activist Yerbol Koshugulov says that on Wednesday morning, several people in civilian clothes came to the office accompanied by policemen. They produced a search warrant and went on to confiscate all found documents. According to my information, they mentioned an order to seal the offices of Alga party while they were talking to each other. I'm not sure how exactly they are going to do that, but I believe they will have to follow this order. The request to comment on the search surprised Kazakhstan's Human Rights Commissioner, who appeared to be unaware about the situation with the opposition party. We know nothing about it, therefore I can't comment on it. If we had any statements or other information, we would do so, and since we are completely uninformed about the matter, it would be wrong to say anything at this point. This is not the first visit of law enforcement officials to the offices of Alga party. Last year, they already searched the premises in relation to the case against Ruslan Simbinov, the head of the Almaty party branch. This time, the search follows the trial of the party leader Vladimir Kozlov, convicted after Zhenozem tragedy for inciting social hatred. It was announced on Wednesday that the oppositionist will serve his 7-year sentence not in Almaty, his place of residence, and not even in Mangistau region where the trial took place, but in the North Kazakhstan region.
NSC officers also searched the house rented by opposition politician Vladimir Kozlov's wife. At around 11 a.m., Aliya Turuzbekova was warned about the investigative measures by phone. Almost everything was confiscated, including the family's dogs, and the house was sealed off. Mrs. Turuzbekova was allowed to take only the smallest of her belongings.
On Wednesday, the house number 2B on Zarechная Street was subjected to search by the National Security Committee officers. The inspection was attended by people in luxury cars keeping watch at the entrance gate. Meanwhile, reporters were denied access to the investigation site by a plainclothes officer who refused to comment on the matter. However, Alga Party member Mikhail Sizov revealed to the media that the house in question was rented by Aliya Turuzbekova, the wife of the dissenting politician Vladimir Kozlov. According to Sizov, security officials intended to check all the real estate property registered to the Civil Activity Fund head Muratbek Kitibаев.
Обрывочные данные есть по поводу постановления, то есть, которое является основанием для этого обыска.
There is some sketchy information on the court ruling behind the search order, which refers to the criminal investigation on Muratbek Kitibаев's case. Given the tideway of the latest trials involving independent media and Alga Party, the most likely charges against Kitibаев would be extremism and terrorism.
Судебные процессы против независимых СМИ, против партии Алга идут.
On January 23rd, a similar operation in the same residence resulted in special service officers blocking the driveway and not letting anyone inside the perimeter. That time it took more than 12 hours for the officers to search the property and impound documents, finance papers and office appliances. The house check was followed by detention of Alga Party member Vladimir Kozlov, who was later convicted of social hatred instigation. Muratbek Kitibаев, criticizing the government for Zhanaozen tragedy and reprisal against the Alga Party, now faces charges of political extremism. Aliya Turuzbekova was not allowed to use the phone during the search. By 7 p.m., it transpired that the property was sealed and the opposition member's spouse found herself left outside on the street.
Respublika newspaper, on the other hand, had to work on two fronts. Its case was heard yesterday morning while its offices were visited by law enforcement officials. On November 28th, Almaty prosecutor's office filed a suit against 40 media sources. The supervisory body neglected to identify those suspected of extremism or who exactly is to act as defendant, considering that neither the editorial office nor journalists can be legally labeled that. Details up next.
The confrontation between Golos Respubliki newspaper and prosecutors continues. In court, the defendant, the publication's founder Guzal Baydalinova, attempted to learn about the precise list of media accused of extremism. According to the prosecution claim, the matter involves about 24 publications related to Respublika. Unfortunately, this issue remained unaddressed since the defense requested to postpone the hearing due to a search operation in the newspaper's main office. You won't be let back inside if you leave the courtroom. Also, switch off your phone. But I'm getting calls from the national security. They are breaking into my office and are about to smash the door. Following a few arguments, the judge decided to postpone the process until Thursday morning. In the meantime, the prosecutors searched the office of the newspaper, preventing any filming or presence of anyone inside the premises. According to the preliminary information, the visitors collected all found documents, equipment and electric devices. Azatek agency reported that the officers conducting the search broke Aziz Loguzbaev's photo camera while he was gathering info about the development.
Stan.kz's Almaty office was raided by the NSC department, accompanied by a group of witnesses. Although they did not specify what exactly they were searching for in the search operations and what legal grounds they had to confiscate office property.
Please stay outside to avoid interfering with the investigation. The morning routine for the staff of Stan.kz website was broken by an office search, which appears to be linked to criminal proceedings against Muratbek Kitibаев, an opposition politician charged with organizing and running a criminal group. Having to deal with the situation, the chief special case investigator of the NSC department of Almaty, Alexander Sherbakov, asked everyone involved to maintain mutual respect. Please refrain from filming formal documents, as they are classified while under investigation. Let's show some respect for each other. After a short wait for the website reps and brief inspection session, civilian witnesses along with the investigation team were invited inside by the examining official. Let me make it clear that only the investigative action participants are allowed inside. The rest will have to stay out. The Stan.kz staff were left guessing about the proceedings behind closed doors. Meanwhile, the incoming information revealed that the national security officials impounded all special equipment, documents and electronic media.
Later on in the evening, we received footage from the video portal's office.
It appears they carry bags which likely contain confiscated documents and equipment, including computer hard drives, laptops and video cameras. Close to 9 p.m. the NSC staff proceeded to compile a report on the development. A police minivan was parked outside the building while the property and the Office of Stunt Production was placed under arrest.
In related news, head of Civic Activity Fund Muratbek Itibayev commented on the searches in the offices of independent media, Alga Party and Aman Saulik Fund to journalist Alexei Tikhonov. He noted violations during the investigation, in particular the lack of witnesses and confiscation of equipment and documentation. Itibayev also fears extremist leaflets or illegal narcotics could be illicitly tossed inside the offices. The full interview is being broadcast on K+, along with the channel's official pages on social networks.
My criminal case was initiated back in the summer of 2012. The charges were basically copied from Vladimir Kozlov's case, namely the incitement of social hatred and calling for staging a violent military coup as part of the organized crime group. On December 11, upon the application of investigation officers, the Aktau Municipal Court sanctioned my 2-month arrest. As a result, I was put on a wanted list, which was also reflected on the Prosecutor General's office website. I believe that the series of searches my property was subjected to is part of the criminal case proceedings. The officials are trying to use the charges as a formal reason for terminating activity of all the organizations located on my premises. I'm referring to the Astana and Almaty Alga Party offices, Respublika and Stan KZ media offices, and the house of Vladimir Kozlov's family.
In Aktau, rights activist Asel Nurgaziyeva was released from a special detention center. 2 weeks ago, she was detained by the police department and arrested to 12 hours by the administrative court. Nurgaziyeva maintains this was a provocation by law enforcement officials in response to her advocacy activities.
According to the case materials, Nurgaziyeva was detained for disorderly conduct. A young woman called the police claiming the human rights activist allegedly offended her using coarse language. A patrol was immediately summoned to the scene and both parties were taken to a nearby police station. During the trial, Nurgaziyeva was given an additional sentence of 7 days for insubordination to authority. Nurgaziyeva intends to continue fighting for the rights of her clients and says she is not intimidated by what she calls pathetic dirty tricks. The activist is mostly outraged by behavior of Aktau judges, especially since one of them repeatedly talked on the phone during the trial, receiving instructions regarding the verdict. I'm absolutely sure that what I'm doing is right and is absolutely necessary. I'll keep at it despite everything what happened. The fact that people who supposedly know the law, although not well enough, allow themselves to be so rude and inconsiderate gives me all the more reason to continue doing what I do. We need to fight against this kind of behavior.
Most of Kazakhstan remains trapped in bad weather. Temperatures in eastern Kazakhstan have reached 47 degrees below zero. Heating systems are crumbling. More than 300 houses were left without heating in Almaty alone. Hospitals, schools, kindergartens, and industrial sites were left without heating due to a burst heating pipeline. There are also problems with electricity.
Residents of Ridder, a town in eastern Kazakhstan, are experiencing issues with uninterrupted power and heating supply. At the same time, over 1,000 residents of Aktas and Karajal villages in Karaganda region were left without heat on Tuesday. Forced by severe conditions, people went to the streets calling for the attention of local authorities in a 40-degree cold. The emergency at the water line has been eliminated and the heating supply is restored. Everything is back to normal. All heat supply lines are 530 in diameter, but the one in question wasn't half a meter deep, instead laying almost on the surface. Therefore, the line simply froze in this abnormally cold temperature, causing all these problems.
Kızılar'da Region Rescue Services saved 275 people from snow traps over the holidays. They were all relocated to a safer location.
3 commuter buses broke down on the Shymkent-Samara highway, including one en route from Uzbekistan to Russia. 70 passengers, all Uzbekistan citizens, were brought to a school in Daldabay village, where they were provided with food and warm clothes. In addition, the emergency officers found a vehicle with 2 Australian passengers near the village Josali, rendering them rather timely aid. We are rendering all the necessary medical and material aid. There are children aged 7, 9 and 10 among the passengers. There are also 4 women there.
Fire broke out inside a storage facility with food and fireworks in the Alash market in Shymkent. The total area of the fire amounted to 250 square meters.
The fire had spread to 3 adjacent storage facilities where food, construction materials and mercury-containing lamps were stockpiled. The blaze was immediately rated level 3, which prompted sending 9 engines to the scene. 6 additional special-purpose vehicles also took part in the elimination of the emergency, which was accomplished in 4 hours only by morning. The investigation into the causes of incident is currently underway. This was the second major fire in Chimkent this year, following the August emergency at a 2-story commercial building on the territory of Bakjan Market, which left 1 person dead and over 4,000 square meters of commercial space destroyed. All 150 personnel of Chimkent Fire Department were involved in the elimination of the blaze. In addition, other local agencies, including Municipal Energy and Water Services, along with Emergency Medical Department, took part in the process.
In other news, disruptions with social bread began in Pavlodar. Outlets experienced shortages of tin loaves, which were popular among the vulnerable members of society. They are now forced to buy more expensive bread. We attempted to investigate where did the missing bread go in the next story.
Cheap bread is gradually disappearing from Pavlodar's stores, which hits low-income families and pensioners the most. City residents are left guessing and speculating about the reasons of the supply shortage. Most likely, the authorities did it to raise the prices, but people will complain anyway. Such things simply shouldn't happen. It is unbelievable. The shortage is unexplainable since the country collected enough wheat. So what is going on? Seems like everything is done on purpose. Pavlodar Bakery plant, the largest producer of cheap bread in the area, refrained from commenting on the matter, citing senior management's busy schedule. The regional administration, however, placed the blame on the Agriculture Ministry, which instructed Pavlodar bread manufacturers to use grain from North Kazakhstan elevators located in Akmola and Kostanay regions. This way, Astana officials wanted to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, feed the hungry Pavlodar residents and unload the overflowing grain elevators. Bakers, though, never welcomed such proposal. First of all, they're afraid of dealing with unfamiliar companies. For all they know, these grain elevators could supply them with low-quality grain, but the money will be gone already. Therefore, they are reluctant to cooperate with these regions. Officials promised to resolve the deadlock and announce which grain will be used by the local bakeries soon, adding that the bread prices for vulnerable parts of the population will stay the same.
A new currency within the economic union of Kazakhstan, Russia and Belarus should not be expected. From now on, the role of a single monetary unit will be assigned to the Russian ruble, which takes up about 90% of mutual trade among the 3 states. This statement made by Presidential Advisor Sergei Lazarev stands in stark contrast to Nursultan Nazarbayev's opinion stated earlier, who said that the ruble is not suitable for a single monetary unit despite its strength. Kazakhstan's parliamentarians rushed to support their president in this controversial issue.
We shouldn't raise the issue of cancelling plans for supranational currency, as there must be quite serious grounds for that, and not just an opinion of some expert. On Wednesday, Moscow hosted 3 simultaneous summit meetings, namely of the CSTO, Eurasian Economic Community and the Customs Union G3. The day prior, Nursultan Nazarbayev took part in a series of formal events. Russian President Vladimir Putin expressed gratitude to the Kazakhstan party for holding the CSTO presidency in 2012. Meanwhile, the main stage of negotiations resulted in taking no less than 18 decisions, including the termination of CSTO membership for Uzbekistan and enhancing the organization's military capacity with additional air power and special task forces.
Filming of Kazakhstan's first holiday comedy began in Astana. Farhad Sharipov's feature titled Aliens Are Innocent is planned to be released a year from now. The director plans to fit within the budget of $250,000. Sharipov says time has come to start filming the types of movies in Kazakhstan that are able to recuperate their costs.
We aim at making a box office hit while staying within a shoestring budget. This is going to be a producer-backed movie with no financial support from the state. The city administration does provide assistance with all kinds of permissions, but nothing more than that. The film stars Farhad Abdraimov, now widely known as Farah, Venera Nigmatulina and Yerbol Tuguzakov, famous for his role in Shal. The director also invited a young actor Maxim Akbarov, who came to prominence in his previous film The Tale of a Pink Hare. Farhad Sharipov's new movie is based on 4 stories of different people and will be filmed in a hyper-realistic style, featuring an all-out New York party. The production will continue through December 21st, as the team is more concerned about the weather conditions rather than the end of the world. Following the drop of air temperature to -45 Celsius, the the director has all the signs of chest cold, while some filming equipment gave up, no longer able to sustain severe winter in Astana. The special body warmers make an essential part of our outfits. There are lots of funny moments in the movie. However, the deathly cold does force actors to resort to various questionable warming techniques.
That is all we have time for now. Thank you for watching. See you tomorrow.